department. This is size is 3 characters. GSS account. This is 4 characters, and so except for account, for remaining all segments I have created the size as this. Now here I'm going to assign all the value sets which I have created. You can either select it from the list, or if you type the partial value, will give us the list of all the value sets which are starting with G. This is GSS division. This is for location. This is department. Account. Save this. Now see, and as per this, what is an account here? As per this chart of accounts, here I have created as department, and as per this, each unique code combination is considered as an account here. Each code combination is an account here, and these are the companies. Now we know that we always generate our financial statements at company level. We always generate financial statements at our company level. Now, when I'm going to create any financial transaction like this, now maybe this is a little bit related to my financials, but try to understand. Here, this is complete code combination is an account. So this is how I'm going to create a transaction like this. So what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this code combination? What is the meaning of this code combination here?
It's for second
this
company.
Is company one. Company 1 or 2 is credited, but we are always going to generate our financial statements at company level. So we should always ensure that the debits and credits should be equal at what level? Company level. So here I'm going to enter some 2000 rupees as what? So should it, my application should accept this journal entry or not? Is it balanced or not? It is not balanced because it is debited in company 101, that is motors, and credited in IT solution. The debits and credits are not equal at my company level. But how my application knows that it should ensure to balance the journals at company level? How my company knows that they should balance the journals at company level? So here we have one of the qualifier as, meaning while creating the chart of accounts, we have to enable one of the qualifier as balancing segment. Now, which segment we are going to enable as a balancing segment? My application always ensures that the total debits and total credits should be equal at that level. And if I try to post journal entry like this, my system is not going to accept. Since we wanted to balance the journals at company level, at company we are going to enable as balancing segment. Yes, that is balancing segment. So now when I try to post the entry like this, it won't accept and it will give an error. But if I post the entry like this, will it be balanced? Yes, it is not required to balance at all the segments. It is supposed to check whether the debits and credits are equal only at my company level or not, because company is enabled as my balancing segment. So here it is perfectly balanced. Now, apart from this, balancing segment is also used, meaning first one is it is used for balancing journals, and second thing is it is used to account for retained earnings. It is used to account for retained earnings. Now, just try to understand. Maybe this is a concept related to financials, but that is not much difficult to understand. Just to understand the concept, say this is my primary ledger, and here these are the accounts: total expenses, total revenues, total assets, total liabilities, debit, credit. Maybe this is the balances for which financial year? 2021. This is which financial year? 2021. Maybe this is some 10,000 crores, and thousand crores debit, and total expenses. My total revenues is maybe 1500 crores. My total assets is some 3000 crores. My total liabilities is some liabilities, meaning what we owe to others or to the banks or other companies. It is some 22,200 crores. Okay, this is the total of my 2021. Now, when we open this year 2022, meaning here as per the profit and loss report, what is my net profit on this? Meaning total revenues minus total expenses. That is 1500 crores minus 1000 crores, that is 500 is my profit. So we have to pay taxes to the government for 500 crores. Are you getting the point here? Now, this is 2022. Now, what is the beginning balance for total expenses, total revenues for the year 2022? What is the beginning balance for year 2022 here?
500.
Pardon?
500 crore.
No. What is the beginning balance for total expenses? What is the beginning balance for total revenues here? So this is the total 500 crores is the total profit for 2021. So we have paid taxes for 500 crores, right? But the
Yes.
point is, for next year, the profit and loss should again start from zero, freshly, meaning we are going to pay taxes for the revenue generated only for that particular financial year. So at the beginning of every financial year, my profit and loss account balances should become zero. Are you getting the point here? And which accounts are going to carry it forwarded to my next year is assets and liabilities are going to get forwarded to my next year. But how these balances have become zero for my next year? So what happens here is, when I'm going to close this financial year, it is going to close profit and loss journal entry. Hello, Rajkumar, now is my voice is clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, is everyone able to hear me?
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
Okay, thank you. Maybe Rajkumar is having some issue. Okay. Now, here, when I'm going to close my financial year for the year 2021, it is supposed to knock off these two accounts. So it is going to create profit and loss journal. And what will be the journal entry of this is here, this is total revenues. What is my total revenues? Here, debit, credit. Total revenues, here it is credited, here it is, and total expenses. Here it is debited, here it is credited, and the difference is getting transferred into retained earnings, that is 500 crores. Once after posting this journal entry, the net balance of total revenues, total expenses are going to become zero, and the difference is getting transferred into which account here? Retained earnings accounts. That is how the net balances of this total expenses and total revenues are going to be knocked off and become zero for next financial year. And that net profit, sorry, gross profit is going to be transferred to my retained earnings. So retained earnings is nothing but undistributed profits. That is my gross profit. Am I clear on this? And at what level it is going to account for retained earnings is, it is now going to account at balancing segment. So it is going to generate these journal entries separately for each and every company, because now company is enabled as our balancing segment. Am I clear on this point? So maybe it
Sir,
is a financial concept just to understand, because we are going to use this retail, we are going to map retained earnings somewhere. So just to have an idea about what is this retained earnings, I just discussed this concept, but you don't have to go more in detail about accounting here. This is okay. Now this is about retained, I mean, it's a balancing segment. So it is compulsory that any one segment we have to compulsory choose as a balancing segment. So since we wanted to balance the journal entries at company level, now company I'm going to enable as my balancing segment. So highlight company, go to flex field qualifiers and enable this as my balancing segment. And among all the segments, we can decide only one segment as your balancing segment. Among all the segments, we can decide only one segment as your balancing segment. Save this. Okay. Now, according to my chart of accounts, this complete code combination is an account, right? This is complete code combination like company, division, location, department, account. This complete code combination is an account. And we know that accounts are classified as assets, liabilities, revenues, and expenses. Now, this account is of what type of account? This account is of what type of account? Whether it is an expense, or is it a revenue, or is it an asset, or is it a liability? Because at the end of the financial year, when I'm going to generate, it is going to generate two journals, profit and loss and balance sheet. Which accounts are going to hit profit and loss is expenses and revenues. For balance sheet, it is going to hit assets and liabilities. Now, but how do my application knows that which account is of what type? Meaning my application should be in a position to understand this account is for what. Now, how it is going to identify is, see, we created this company, division, location, department as per our functional access, but we have to compulsory create one more segment as accounts to define our natural accounts. So for this accounts, meaning for which segment we are going to define the accounts, I should be in a position to classify these accounts as assets, liabilities, revenues, and all. So compulsory for an account segment, we should enable a segment flexible qualifier as natural account segment. Natural account segment, meaning these are all the segments created based on functional access, but we have created an additional segment as account. This segment we are going to define as natural account segment. Natural account segment. And when you enable this account as natural account segment, every account which I am going to define in this natural account segment will ask you to enter your account type. It will ask you to enter the account type only for the values of which segments here? Account segment. So for rents, I'm going to make it as an expense. For payables, it is an liability. Maybe for sales, it is an revenue. Likewise, I'm going to classify my accounts. Now, any code combination created with rents, like any company, any division, any location, any department with 1001, all these account code combinations are what type of accounts here? Expense accounts. Any code combination with any company, any division, any location, any department with 1002 are my liability accounts. That is how my application is going to segregate the accounts when we are going to generate our financial reports at the end of the financial year. So it is also compulsory that when I'm going to create my chart of accounts, it is compulsory to choose any one of the segment as my natural account segment. So among all these segments, which one is my natural account segment here? So highlight account, click on flex field qualifiers, enable this as my natural account segment. Now, among all the segments, we can decide only one segment as our natural account segment. We can decide only one segment as our natural account segment. So it is compulsory that when I'm going to create a chart of accounts, we should create a chart of accounts with minimum 2 flex field qualifiers. At least one should be enabled as your balancing segment and other should be enabled as your natural account segment. Otherwise, your compilation process will be completed with errors. Am I clear on this point? Any questions on this, please? And after creating this chart of accounts, just enable allow dynamic inserts and freeze flex field definition. Don't forget allow dynamic inserts, freeze flex field definition, and then click on compile. Click on compile. So as a part of this chart of accounts, what setups or steps that we have done here is to make you understand. So as a part of this, first search for accounting flex field, create chart of accounts, create segments, create value sets and assign to the segments, enable flex field qualifiers. Company should be enabled as your balancing segment, and account should be enabled as your natural account segment, and enable allow dynamic inserts and freeze flex field definition. Then finally compile flex fields. Am I clear on this point? Any questions on this, please?
Sir, we have operations in India, US, and some UK, right? So can we create 3 different structures for each country, or how is it? On what basis we are going to
Yes,
decide?
you can create separate structure for different countries.
Then how
It is
we need
not
to
that
adjust?
the same. The
Sorry, go
ledger
ahead.
is going to be different from one country to another country, right? Doesn't matter. So we can create any number of chart of accounts. No issues.
Okay, it can be for if there are multiple operations. For motors, I can create one segment, and is it like the? Is it possible
No,
for
no, no, no,
different
no.
operations?
Don't create that way. So your structure, if it is going to fit for all the companies, then only you create as a common structure. Suppose if the motor structure is different and IT solution structure is different, then you create separate chart of accounts and maintain separate ledger for each and every company.
If it is okay, if it is in different countries, then we are creating multiple structures. Then how the balance is, and how we are going to generate the reports and compare both the countries.
Every chart of account should have its own balancing segment and natural account segment. These are the flex field qualifiers enabled for this chart of accounts. Maybe for your structure, you create a new structure and decide which one should be your balancing segment and which one should be your natural account segment. So the natural account segment, balancing segment will differ from one structure to another structure.
Okay. And one more doubt, sir. We have created a calendar, right? Accounting calendar. How many adjusting
Yes.
periods can be created for 1 year for one account?
No, actually, purposely, I did not utter the word as adjusting period because I don't want to confuse you, because these concepts are financial concepts. Yes, actually, the point is adjusting periods are basically used to post adjustment entries. You can create any number of adjusting periods. Like, actually, it is not required for SCM. If you are going for financials, these adjusting periods are basically used to post your adjustment entries. And in one calendar, you can create any number of adjusting periods. But that have to be planned at the time of creating our period types. Meaning, one adjusting period at the year end, or two adjusting periods, one in the beginning, one at the end, or one for each quarter, one for each period. Likewise, you have many options.
Okay.
Any more doubts, please?
Hello, sir. Sir, we have some other
Yes, yes.
segments also, right? Flex field qualifiers, along with the balancing and the natural account, and the remaining things
Hmm.
when it is needed to be enabled.
Now we have cost center segment that is used when I'm doing process expenses. A second balancing segment, secondary segment, that is to account for unrealized gain and loss. So these other qualifiers are purely related to, totally related to financial cost. So we can ignore all this. It is not a problem.
Okay. Okay.
Hi sir, this is Tarun here. I have one doubt.
Yes,
Suppose
sir.
like for chart of accounts for within the countries, for IT solutions and IT motors, there is structure is different. But within the country, I'm asking, the currency and calendar everything is same. So is it necessary to create like two primary ledgers or only one ledger is enough?
No, no, we have to, because as you told, the accounting structure is completely different from IT solutions and motors, right? The number of
Yes.
segments are going to be different. So we have created two chart of accounts, one for motors, one for IT solutions. So it may not be possible to assign two chart of accounts for a ledger. So we should create separate ledger for each and every company.
Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.